What a lengthy chapter we have.
Yeah, I don't know if we have time to go through it, guys.
It'll take hours to be certain. But hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
Hold on to your butts, because this is Ascension Unleashed, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 7. Do it!
Twice! I got you twice!
I'm
Chapter
waiting.
7!
Thank you. Absolutely.
I won't do that a third time, I promise.
Yeah, I can understand it being fun, because I you know, it's also when I get to that, I'm like, is he going to do it? Is he?
Gotta keep them on their toes,
Yeah.
as it were. So, a quick insight in between our last chapisode recording and now, Kitta and I did the epigraph discussion. And if I recall correctly, last chapisode, we theorized about the possibility of Quan speaking into Rashek's ears, so to speak, as part of his betrayal. But during the epigraph discussion, I think we had a more accurate bit of insight. We supposed that Quan likely did whatever it was that he did before Alendi hired Rashek and the Packmen to go further north.
Yeah,
so
we picked that because it seemed like there would definitely have been mention of Quan and Rashek together if that was the case, if they had interacted.
Yeah, I felt that was important to bring up. Now we get in this chapter Sazed, a very perturbed, a very disappointed Sazed.
Disillusioned Sazed.
Yeah. He got his dream and it is nothing like what he had hoped.
I like his self-awareness, though, that he
knows
he understands that he had an idea of how it was going to be, and it's different. That doesn't mean he's not disappointed.
He's got a high wisdom score.
Yes.
The parallels between him and Quan are striking in this episode, I think. There's a line in here, we'll get to it, but I felt so exasperated. I was exactly as exasperated as I was with Vin trying to get her to realize that the Lord Ruler was a ferochemist.
Okay, anyway. I can't wait to get there. Yes.
And then we get some Marsh.
Yeah. How is Marsh okay? Well, I guess we'll figure it out. What's happening? What happens to you? Well, we'll get there.
Yes. Well, shall we then?
We shall.
I am also afraid, however, that all I have known, that my story will be forgotten. I am afraid for the world that is to come. Afraid my plans will fail. Afraid of a doom even worse than the deepness.
Right. A fragment. I have errors. I'm just like, what did you get from that? I'm just like, thanks. More.
I got plans will fail. What manner of plans is he making?
Yes. Why are you planning, bro?
I didn't get the sense from the way the sentence is structured that he's talking about plans to stop the deepness. The way he says plans speak to me of a scheme, of a grander design, so to speak.
Yeah.
That speaks of an ulterior motive than merely saving the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ooh, sinister.
And
but But we do have the afraid of a doom worse than the deepness. So there is that kind of moralizing there of it, like, listen, my plans do need will save the world. So there is that opposite in that last one.
Yes. There's an architecture to it. It's a weird way of saying it. Like, he's trying to be an architect here of grand designs. He's trying to move pieces on the chessboard, so to speak, to get desired outcomes. I'm flailing here. There's a puppet master type feeling here. He's trying to...
Yeah, I get that feeling from that line, and then but just the last one, afraid of a doom worse even than the deepness. So it's like underneath the grand design. So I'm with you on that. I feel like it's not, I don't know, somehow it just feels like it is grand design. Okay. But then after that, it's like the ultimate goal is to save from doom, though.
Right. But what is worse than the deepness?
Just absolutely nothing. The nothingness. I don't know.
Afraid of a doom even worse than the deepness.
We shall see. Oh, gosh, more epigraphs. My goodness.
Sazed never thought he'd have reason to appreciate dirt floors. However, they proved remarkably useful in writing instruction. He drew several words in the dirt with a long stick, giving his half-dozen students a model. They proceeded to scribble their own copies, rewriting the words several times. Even after living among various groups of rural Ska for a year, Sazed was still surprised by the dearth of their resources. There wasn't a single piece of chalk in the entire village, let alone ink or paper. Half the children ran around naked, and the only shelters were the hovels, long one-room structures with patchy roofs. The Ska had farming tools, fortunately, but no manner of bows or slings for hunting.
Jeez. Primitive AF, I suppose.
Yes.
Oh, well, they're not hunters. They are properly just gatherers, guys.
Yep.
So they are rather also that just makes me think this is such a vulnerable people. They don't even hunt. They don't even kill anything. They're vegetarians is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what else are you going to do when you're afraid to go out in the mists?
Yeah,
and
to do
you've been
anything.
beaten. Yeah. And you've been beaten your whole life, and all of the strong, fighting-aged males are being taken away.
Exactly.
And yet, throughout all of this, Sazed pays attention to the ingenuity of these people and how they get by.
Yeah, how they've continued. And he wants to bring them forth, add to it.
How do you not like Sazed?
I don't know. Is there anyone who doesn't? My goodness. People that know
Chat,
stuff.
let us know. Are there people that dislike Sazed?
Don't tell us why, but
Correct, but let us know.
Unless, we would like to know, are there people that don't like Sazed?
Sazed had led a scavenging mission up to the plantation's abandoned manor. The leavings had been meager. He'd suggested that the village elders relocate their people to the manor for the winter, but he doubted they would do so. They had visited the manor with apprehension, and many hadn't been willing to leave Sazed's side. The place reminded them of lords, and lords reminded them of pain. His students continued to scribble. He had spent quite a bit of effort explaining to the elders why writing was so important. At last they had chosen him some students, partially, Sazed was sure, just to appease him. He shook his head slowly as he watched them write. There was no passion in their learning. They came because they were ordered, and because Master Terraceman willed it, not because of any real desire for education.
That's so sad. It's the completely curiosity has been bred out of these people, beaten and bred out of them.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's like you go your whole life without needing to read and write. I can appreciate why a people might not find it useful. It's just, scribbles on a page, but it is so important.
It is, yeah. But that's what I mean, like curiosity, the softness of like just, pursuit of the mind insightful things. Okay, thinking, writing's got a lot to do with thinking and recording things and reflection and things like that. And they've lost that completely because they've had no use for it. There's no need for it. So I agree that it like, especially as a child as well, you'd be like, why are we doing this? Like, this just makes no sense. Like, we're already out in the world now. People go, I'm doing stuff at school that I'm never going to do. It's never going to help me. And can you imagine these people like, this dirt that I'm scribbling in here? Like, I've got to go and plow the fields, guys. Like, what are we on about?
I'm so glad I know what a squared plus b squared equals c squared means.
Yes, you have properly lived now. And also they've got the master terracemen. The fact is that they need this, that they've been oppressed for so long that they just do what the strongest person or the leader tells them to do. I can understand the jadedness of Sazed. Also, yes, we are never going to call him Sazed, okay?
I'm sorry, everyone.
That's it.
It has become our way.
Mm-hmm.
During the days before the collapse, Sazed had often imagined what the world would be like once the Lord Ruler was gone. He had pictured the keepers emerging, bringing forgotten knowledge and truths to an excited, thankful populace. He'd imagined teaching before a warm hearth at night, telling stories to an eager audience. He'd never stopped to consider a village stripped of its working men, whose people were too exhausted at night to bother with tales from the past. He'd never imagined a people who seemed more annoyed by his presence than thankful. It is amazing how this moment just makes Sazed so likable to me, because I want what he wants. I love that aspiration, that hope, that, what is it? That goodness, that desire. And then for it just not to be as he had hoped. There's something so empathetic.
Yeah, he's the optimism and the hope. You want that. You're with him on that, and you do
the
feel
idealism.
Ideal. That's the word. Yes.
Yes.
The idealism. It's like it's not wrong to have those hopes. It's sad that that's not exactly how it went, and we'll see. Like more, it makes you like him because he wants good things. That's it. We don't have. It would be a bit irritating to just have, complete negativity and just like, yeah, you see, look at them. Oh, they're just horrible, pathetic. Yeah, we need this kind of person to be a keeper. We need some people with such hope and idealism, because this is a hopeless world.
Yep. And it makes it all the more frustrating when you hear how he's viewed by the other terracemen.
Yeah.
You must be patient, Vissem, Sazed told himself sternly. His dreams now seemed like hubris. The keepers who had come before him, the hundreds who had died safeguarding their knowledge in secret, had never expected praise or accolades. They had performed their great task with solemn anonymity. Sazed stood up and inspected his students' writings. They were getting better. They could recognize all of the letters. It wasn't much, but it was a start. He nodded to the group, dismissing them to help prepare the evening meal. They bowed, then scattered. Sazed followed them out, then realized how dim the sky was. He had probably kept his students too late. He shook his head as he strolled between the hill-like hovels. He again wore his steward's robes with their colorful V-shaped patterns, and he had put in several of his earrings. He kept to the old ways because they were familiar, even though they were also a symbol of oppression. Now, it's interesting there's a tiny bit of irony there. He's lamenting the Ska being so unwilling to learn, and yet he himself is keeping to the old ways.
Right there, yeah, that's a beautiful catch. It's actually, it's like, oh, it's just the way it is. And the keepers themselves, we'll get to know, are also doing some kind of version of that. Yeah, just going a bit back to the Sazed thinking of, this is hubris. I think he's being a bit harsh on himself here, because
yes,
yeah, he thinks he's acting like, oh no, he wants accolades and things like that. It's like, no, he just wants hope from the people. He wants enthusiasm. He wants success. It's not about him looking good, but he wants
from other people what he himself feels. I think he
Yeah.
is, back to the Quan comparison, he is inquisitive by nature. He wants to learn. He wants to grow. And he wants that from everyone else as well.
Yeah.
But not like in a narcissistic way. He's not
Yeah.
like, oh, everyone should be like me. It's more like,
Mm.
there is so much to be gained from learning. Why doesn't everyone want to learn?
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing that you'd like about Sazed. It's just not. But you see, he's overly cautious. He's like, that's hubris. It's like, okay, no, he's understanding. That's what I meant by he's got insight into how he's feeling. He's thinking about it. But there, he I don't think he picks up as well. Just go to jump back. He doesn't. He does not pick up on that irony. He's worried about being what's the name, arrogant or something like that, but then he doesn't actually realize that he's also being a bit of a hypocrite with his old ways and things like that.
How would future Terrace generations dress? Would a lifestyle forced upon them by the Lord Ruler become an innate part of their culture? He halted at the edge of the village, glancing down the corridor of the southern valley. It was filled with blackened soil, occasionally split by brown vines or shrubs. No mist, of course. Mist came only during the night. The stories had to be mistakes. The thing he'd seen had to have been a fluke. And what did it matter if it wasn't? It wasn't his duty to investigate such things. Now that the collapse had come, he had to disperse his knowledge, not waste time chasing after foolish stories. Keepers were no longer investigators, but instructors. He carried with him thousands of books, information about farming, sanitation, government, and medicine. He needed to give these things to the Ska. That was what the Synod had decided.
Synod.
Is that a religious term that I don't know about, Kite?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's got something to do with the keepers. It's something of Terrace. Whether it's religious or not, I don't know.
From context, we can imagine it's the Synod is a leader or a group of leaders.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like that's what that's what he's been told to do. I'm getting from context. That's what I'm saying. I can't remember ever hearing it before.
And as we're about to learn, but even before getting to it, I get the feeling that these thoughts he's having aren't really his thoughts. They are the thoughts that this would-be Synod or that the Synod is telling him.
Yeah, he's supposed to think of this. This is my duty. He's not supposed to think outside of this. He's just got to do what has been told. That's what a terroristman does, is do what you're told. And yeah, you're being told, a keeper is being told by the rest of the keepers, I suppose, to do something, and that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yep.
Right.
And yet, a part of Sazed resisted. That made him feel deeply guilty. The villagers needed his teachings, and he wished dearly to help them. But he felt that he was missing something. The Lord Ruler was dead, but the story did not seem finished. Was there something he had overlooked? So he feels a call to adventure. He knows that something isn't right, and he's torn between his duty to help others and his curiosity regarding the matter.
Yeah, curiosity, because he does have deep curiosity, but also this, that he is worried. That's actually, this is a great parallel, great connection to the epigraph with a threat greater than the deepness, like he feels like there's something worse that could happen. So, this is where Sazed is as well. Like, he's like, yeah, okay, this is a challenge, and I've got this challenge of getting people that aren't interested in knowledge to embrace it and all of that. That's a good adventure to go on. Cool, it's worthy of going on. But there are worse things that could happen.
Yes.
The deepness is still waiting there. And yeah, he's missing something.
And that's why these next two sentences had me so exasperated.
Yeah.
Was there something he had overlooked? Something even larger than the Lord Ruler. Something so large, so big, that it was effectively invisible? Sazed, put
Yes.
2 and 2 together, please. You know that Logbook Man was supposedly the hero of ages. You know that the Lord Ruler was not Logbook Man. It should not be that difficult to realize that the deepness may not have been stopped.
You
I
need to make
hope.
sure. Yeah, like you do need to understand that the world was not the same. He speaks about green pastures and things, and what you've just accepted that this is what happened. You're way
Mhm.
smarter than that.
The sun is red.
But yeah, makes not that sun, literal sun red. But also you can see the same mechanism of trying to stay away from hubris, trying to stay away from self-confidence, of thinking that you have anything to offer. That's what he's trying to stay in his lane, and I've just got to be a keeper and then disseminate information. It's very important. It's noble. That's my duty. But that nagging feeling is something he has to answer. The call to adventure, he has to answer it, because there is something wrong, and you are part of figuring out what it is. Who else? But he has this caution that he just doesn't want to be, oh no, that's hubris. Oh, I want accolades. No, it's not that he wants to be the hero of ages. It's that he wants to just make sure that all of this is worth it. Like, yeah, sure, knowledge is a great pursuit or whatever, but if the world just continues and ends, great knowledge, great, well done. So there are more dire things than teaching people to scribble and stuff. They need to be alive for that. So yeah, I feel the frustration you're talking about. You're like, hello.
I mean, it feels so obvious to us.
Mm.
We are approaching it from, an outside perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah. The Lord Ruler was dead, but the story did not seem finished. Was there something he had overlooked? Something even larger than the Lord Ruler? Something so large, so big that it was merely invisible?
Hold on, I've got another thing. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Just in terms of something so large, so big that it was effectively invisible. He's literally looking at it. We just said,
Yes!
we just said the sun is red, whatever. He's standing there. And he's in the world. It's so large. The fact that the world is no longer green, that there is mist at all, that mist only comes at night, that's still a problem. It wasn't there before. So it is effectively invisible. That's beautiful. I really love the way that comes together, that he's standing there looking at the world, and it's like, oh, it's effectively invisible because you're in it. He's living in this fish tank.
Is there any parallel to be made between Sazed in this moment and the ska that he's trying to teach?
Yeah, absolutely. Right on. Make it.
No, I mean, you.
No, you. Draw the parallel.
Okay, so the ska don't see the point of reading, because what use is it? It's not gonna. They've never needed it before. Why would they need it now? That's not how their world is. It's not useful to their world. And now here Sazed is thinking, it's so invisible you can't see it. He is so used to a red sun and mist in the night that he doesn't see that that's not normal. I don't know.
So the ska are so used to being
in
just
their
not even
world.
In their world, not having a use for thought, not having a use for curiosity, for writing, anything like that. It's just about survival. So they don't know that there is more. They don't really care or know.
They don't comprehend why writing is important. And Sazed doesn't understand why a red sun isn't normal.
Yeah, I love it. I love all of this. It's so beautiful.
The Lord Ruler was dead, but the story did not seem finished. Was there something he had overlooked? Something even larger than the Lord Ruler? Something so large, so big, that it was effectively invisible? Or do I merely want there to be something else? He wondered. I've spent most of my adult life resisting and fighting, taking risks that the other keepers called mad. I wasn't content with feigned subservience. I had to get involved in the rebellion. Despite that rebellion's success, Sazed's brethren still hadn't forgiven him for his involvement. Sazed's brethren. Important word there. Brethren. Despite that rebellion's success, Sazed's brethren still hadn't forgiven him for his involvement. He knew that Vin and the others saw him as docile, but compared with other keepers, he was a wild man, a reckless, untrustworthy fool who threatened the entire order with his impatience. They had believed their duty was to wait, watching for the day when the Lord Ruler was gone. Feruchemists were too rare to risk in open rebellion. So that all just sounds like how Alendi describes Quan as being different to the Terrace philosophers, right? Or is that just me?
No, I get it. There's more there. Like, yes, he's a philosopher and that he's a thinker. He thinks and he studies and investigates and things, but he's got more. He wants to do something with that knowledge, and that's unique. Yeah. So here again, this Sazed is like trying to he's putting blinkers on himself because he's like, but you can see the source of it is his brethren, as you've said like they hadn't forgiven him. It's like, well, what do you think that he was? What do you think the Lord Ruler was going to do? Just run out? Like, this had to happen for anything to move forward. And so what that a keeper was involved? Well done. Feruchemists are powerful. The Lord Ruler himself was a feruchemist. So, they're too much to risk? Yes, I understand completely. Why are they too much to risk? Oh, because the Lord Ruler just culls them. Maybe they are worth risk. If we're gonna,
a fair counterpoint. I can appreciate. We don't know how many are left, and we do know that the breeding programs were extensive, so I can appreciate
the caution.
Extreme radical caution. I can appreciate that.
But then, okay, yeah, I can appreciate that. But then the fact that it happened, celebrate. Don't. The fact that it did happen and you still you did not lose a feruchemist. Well, you did. You lost the Lord Ruler. But that's it. Like, you actually
it was success. A risk that paid off, certainly.
Yes. So they're like, oh, they still hadn't forgiven him. It's like, no, send him off to be a keeper. He's not allowed to. We can't even give him props for the fact that he was part of the rebellion. No, we actually are angry at him for it. And it's like, I'm blown away. I understand abundance of caution, but at the same time, what did you expect?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to hate anyone that hates Sazed. Don't get me wrong.
True.
But for the moment, I'm appreciating the sort of gray area here for me, where it's like, absolutely give him props for succeeding. But I get why you would be exasperated at the risk taken.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sazed had disobeyed. Now he was having trouble living the peaceful life of a teacher. Was that because some subconscious part of him knew that the people were still in danger? Or was it because he simply couldn't accept being marginalized?
Sorry, is Daisy making noise? Because she's walking up and down the keyboard.
No.
Okay.
You have a line.
Oh, really? I have to try and do it. Okay. Master Terraceman! I can't even do it. Come on, I don't want to do it.
That was great. What are you talking about?
Oh, thanks. It was great. So I've got Daisy in front of me here, and so it's very hard to be terrified with Daisy in front of me.
Aw. Use Daisy as a pop filter for your mic.
Master Terraceman!
She won't understand why you're yelling at her.
She is. She's looking at me like, what are you? Because she's literally right in front of the microphone. So she's like, why you yell? Gosh, I know I'm pretty, but anyway, sorry, future Dorkus.
Oh, I'm keeping all of this in. I think it's adorable. And this is a short episode. We're keeping it in.
I'll give you pictures of Daisy so you can just say like this is what we're talking about.
Excellent.
Master Terraceman!
Sazed spun. The voice was terrified. Another death in the mists? He thought immediately. It was eerie how the other Ska remained inside their hovels despite the horrified voice. A few doors creaked, but nobody rushed out in alarm, or even curiosity, as the screamer dashed up to Sazed. She was one of the field workers, a stout, middle-aged woman. Sazed checked his reserves as she approached. He had on his pewter mind for strength, of course, and a very small steel ring for speed. He wished he'd chosen to wear a few more bracelets this day. Okay, steel is for speed. That's good lore there.
Okay, yeah. Keep that in mind. Okay. Master Terraceman! Oh, he's come back! He's come for us!
Who? The man who died in the mists?
No, Master Terraceman. The Lord Ruler.
Oh, shit. I knew there was no way it was the Lord Ruler.
Yeah, I knew it, but I was like, wait, no, okay. Like, I did consider it. So I knew it, and I was like, no, I did not know it. I did have consideration, Chinsia. Don't lie. No, it was more like that is highly unlikely, and I would be disappointed if that was true. That's what I mean. Like if that was true, I'd be like absolutely blown away. I'd be like, what are you doing, Sanderson?
Yeah. Sazed found him standing right outside the village. It was already growing dark, and the woman who'd fetched Sazed had returned to her hovel in fear. Sazed could only imagine how the poor people felt, trapped by the onset of the night and its mists, yet huddled and worried at the danger that lurked outside. And an ominous danger it was. The stranger waited quietly on the worn road, wearing a black robe, standing almost as tall as Sazed. The man was bald, and he wore no jewelry, unless, of course, you counted the massive iron spikes that had been driven point first through his eyes. Not the Lord Ruler, a Steel Inquisitor. I love that the Steel Inquisitors, as far as the Ska are concerned, are synonymous with the Lord Ruler.
Yes. Yeah. That is literally, that's how by design, that's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know, it also just shows how remote these people are. It's not like the Lord Ruler travels around and looks at his subjects and whatever. Many of them, how many of them had ever seen the Lord Ruler?
True.
So this is possible. It can be synonymous. The Lord Ruler, if you were to imagine the Lord Ruler, hey, probably looks like that in any case. So even if they know what Steel Inquisitors are, like you said, they're synonymous. But even then, they've never seen him. Like they are not from Luthadel. Like Vin hadn't seen the Lord Ruler before. It seemed like she had never, like when he attacked Calcia, that was the first time she had seen him. It seems like, well, seen him clearly. So that's inside Luthadel, and then this is all the way out. So it makes sense. They've never seen him, but that's how absolute his control was. Don't have to see him to do it. And then just with the Steel Inquisitor, did you know it was Marsh?
I assumed it was Marsh, yes.
I was too busy just going, what's happening now? I was too busy going, I think I hoped it was Marsh. That's all. Because I was like, I don't know how to deal with other Inquisitors now. I don't want Sazed to be fighting. I don't want any of that. So I hoped it was Marsh, but I didn't know.
I felt like Sazed was being too calm for it to be anyone other than Marsh.
Mm-hmm. Also, just yeah, you're right. But also for the first, scene of an Inquisitor in this book, it is quite ominous. It's great. It's cinematic as well. Just seeing the way he describes it, I'm kind of seeing this really ominous thing. So for first appearance, great.
Yes. Sazed still didn't understand how the creatures continued to live. The spikes were wide enough to fill the Inquisitor's entire eye sockets. The nails had destroyed the eyes, and pointed tips jutted out the back of the skull. No blood dripped from the wounds. For some reason, that made them seem more strange. Fortunately, Sazed knew this particular Inquisitor. Marsh, Sazed said quietly as the mists began to form. You are a very difficult person to track, Terraceman. Marsh said, and the sound of his voice shocked Sazed. It had changed, becoming more grating, more grisly. It now had a grinding quality, like that of a man with a cough, just like the other Inquisitors Sazed had heard. Track? I wasn't planning on others needing to find me. Regardless, I did. You need to come with me. Sazed frowned. What? Marsh, I have a work to... Is this a typo?
Yes.
I have a work to do here.
He has a work, like a deed. It's a work in mine as well, and you know that ours are both have had quite different.
Yeah. That has to be a typo. Sazed frowned. What? Marsh, I have work to do here. Unimportant, Marsh said, turning back, focusing his eyeless gaze on Sazed. Is it me? Or has he become stranger since we last met? Sazed shivered. What is this about, Marsh? The conventicle of Saren is empty. Conventicle, is that a religious term that I'm not familiar with?
Well, I don't know what the word conventicle means. No, I don't know. But it does sound religious, and we do get that.
Yeah, well, I hear convent.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Christianity or Mormonism or if these are words that are being lifted and adjusted or not. So
I think so. I think it is, especially because what comes here is it's what they do call it a religion thing, but also statement of appreciation for your Marsh Steel Inquisitor voice, because he was Marsh before, and this change you're making this change properly visceral for me, and I'm worried and scared.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, it scared Sazed.
Yeah, he shivered.
The conventicle of Saren is empty. Sazed considered that. The conventicle was a ministry stronghold to the south, a place where the inquisitors and high obligators of the Lord Ruler's religion had retreated after the collapse. Empty? That isn't likely, I think. True, nonetheless, Marsh said. He didn't use body language as he spoke. No gesturing, no facial expressions. Ah, he's a robot now.
It's so creepy. I like that detail because I didn't think of them that way, that they were just robotic in terms of when they're speaking. I just didn't have that information. I didn't apply that filter. Yeah, I didn't. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure you did, because you're like, hello, they're like robots. But just the fact, I need to be told that he does not use gestures. I want to be told that, so my brain goes, oh, that's a fact, and then it applies it to him.
What kinds of information? Wonders, secrets the conventicle's library must hold. Okay, this is the call to adventure for him.
Yes, answer it.
Answer it. The knowledge, the lore, we want to know.
Yeah, so go, okay? We're requiring this of you. And yes, obviously we have, I really do think it's as you said, he took words that are, that are used in Christianity and things like that, and used it for the Lord Ruler's religion, conventicle.
Cool.
Noted. The conventicle was a ministry stronghold to the south, a place where the inquisitors and high obligators of the Lord Ruler's religion had retreated after the collapse. So that's it's like a convent. I'm hearing convent there. So anyway.
You must come with me. I may need help should my brethren discover us. Brethren?
We've got brethren. We got the brethren before. Now we got brethren here. And listen, hold on, okay? I'm just trying to steel man, Marsh. Okay, that Sazed had spoken about his brethren, and they were in opposition to him. They were disappointed. They were all of that. So it's not necessarily just having brethren. That brethren is, I do what they tell me. Okay, so even if the inquisitors, they are brethren. Yes, I understand that. In that they're the same biology, they have had the same thing happen to them, but that doesn't mean that Marsh belongs to them. And that's what I'm trying to hold on to. It's like,
right. There's a wonderful bit of, it doesn't quite cross into the line of hypocrisy for me. I think it still lives in irony, but the lack of self-awareness here when it comes to the word brethren and how he considers the keepers his brethren, and yet they consider him an outsider. Hero of Ages will be an outsider. Sazed contender? Anyway, and yet he has concern here over Marsh considering the other Inquisitors his brethren. It's wonderful irony.
It's beautiful. I love the irony in this whole, like, look, it's a short chapter, but look how much we can pull from it because of the depth of the writing. Oh, I love it.
This really is the Sazed appreciation chapter, by the way. Like, even more now that I'm getting to talk to you about it. Like, when I was reading it, I was like, okay, short chapter, bummer. But like, now that we're actually talking about it, I'm like, oh, wow, this chapter is fantastic, actually.
Exactly. Rich.
You must come with me. I may need help should my brethren discover us. My brethren? Since when are the Inquisitors Marsh's brethren? Marsh had infiltrated their numbers as part of Kelsier's plan to overthrow the final empire. He was a traitor to them, not their brother. Sazed hesitated. Marsh's profile looked unnatural, even unnerving in the dim light. Dangerous. Don't be foolish, Sazed chastised himself. Marsh was Kelsier's brother, the survivor's only living relative. As an Inquisitor, Marsh had authority over the Steel Ministry, and many of the Obligators had listened to him, despite his involvement with the rebellion. He had been an invaluable resource for Ellen Venture's fledgling government. That's good to know. Very happy to hear that.
Yeah, and it's good to understand, like, they didn't just, that was a problem that needed to be explained away in some way.
Yeah.
Like, that's still a problem. That could have been something that we could focus on in this book. I mean, it is a problem because something's happened. They've gone somewhere. What's happening? Are they creating their own rebellion or something like that? But yeah, it's important to have that explanation.
Yes. Go get your things. My place is here, Sazed thought, teaching the people, not gallivanting across the countryside chasing my own ego. And yet... The mists are coming during the day, Marsh said quietly. Sazed looked up. Marsh was staring at him, the heads of his spikes shining like round discs in the last slivers of sunlight. Superstitious Ska thought the Inquisitors could read minds, though Sazed knew that was foolish. Inquisitors had the powers of Mistborn and could therefore influence other people's emotions, but they could not read minds. Okay, there's so much emphasis there. It may not be Inquisitors or Mistborn, but we're going to get something that can read minds at some point in this book, right? Prediction! Add it to the log.
Okay, I'm adding to the log. Something will be able to read minds. Add it.
Excellent. The mists are coming during the day. Why did you say that? Because it is true. This is not over, Sazed. It has not yet begun. The Lord Ruler, he was merely a delay, a cog. Now that he is gone, we have little time remaining. Come with me to the conventicle. We must search it while we have the opportunity. Sazed hesitated, then nodded. Let me go explain to the villagers. We can leave tonight, I think. Marsh nodded, but he didn't move as Sazed retreated to the village. He remained standing in the darkness, letting the mist gather around him.
So ominous, so scary.
And at least Marsh knows.
Yes, Marsh has he has the sense of haste, guys. So I'm happy that he's pushed Sazed into it, because Sazed thinking, chasing my ego. He's so worried about it being about his ego, and he feels guilty about wanting adventure as well, having a sense of adventure. Or having a sense of, not even just, I want to go and explore and have fun and have experiences. It's more like he has a sense of duty that is larger than just what everybody expects of him. And that feels like too much ego for him. He's worried about that.
He's too humble for his own good.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. He's taking his concerns and saying, oh, he's dismissing his own feelings. It's just like, oh, no. It's just me chasing my own ego. It's like, no, there are real concerns, and yes, you're taking it's a greatly, oh my gosh, this character's written really well.
So well.
Yeah, because that's what a person can do, is that they are so busy being subservient or putting themselves down that anything that they enjoy or anything,
or being
yeah,
who they think they are supposed to be.
yes, yeah, yes, exactly. And being anything different is guilty to them. That it's something that is worthy of shame. So it really made me sad to have running around chasing my ego. It's like, oh, Sazet. You listen, you're friends with Calcia. You know what ego looks like. Okay. Yeah.
Well, this was an exceptionally short chapter, so I managed to talk Kita into doing a blind read-through for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yay!
We'll see
We're
then.
gonna go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for tuning in. Go subscribe to That Darn Kita. We'll see you next week, which is also 2 minutes from now. Okay, thanks.
Like
Bye.
this video.
But also do that if you want. No pressure. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, bye.